Hi, Joe. It's Mrs. Laurendini. I'm just going to go through some of the stuff that was on that Quizzle for you. And then if you have any more questions, you can always email me or reach out to Matt because Matt would be more than glad to help you, okay? So basically, what this quiz was asking about was perfect squares. So, one thing that you can do is you can make a list of your perfect squares. So, for example, if you start with 1 squared is equal to 1. So we would say that the square root of 1 is 1. 2 squared is equal to 4. So we would say the square root of 4 is equal to 2. So if you make a list, this will help you because knowing your perfect squares will definitely help you also with estimating. Okay, so one of the things I have the kids do is make a list of the perfect squares, and I can send you a copy of that, okay? So you want to know your perfect squares. So now if I wanted to know, let's say the square root of 20. Now, that's not a perfect square, but I do know that it would fit right nicely in here between 16 and 25. So now if I look at 16 and I look at 25, it's slightly closer to 16 because it's only 4 away, where it's 5 away from 25. So I would say that it's slightly closer to 16. So therefore, it would be closer to the whole number 4 as opposed to the whole number 5, because remember, these are square roots. So it's closer to the whole number 4, but it's in between 4 and 5. So if I had to guess, I would probably guess around 4.4. And then I could always check that with my calculator. Okay? So some of the questions on the Quizlet that I had, I don't know if they were the exact same questions for you, but I had the square root of 121. Now, that is a perfect square, and that's equal to 11, because 11 times 11 equals 121. It had the square root of 64, which is equal to 8, because 8 times 8 is equal to 64. Now, one of the tricky things is sometimes kids confuse square rooting with cutting a number in half. They're not the same, okay? It's what number times itself, okay? So here were some of the other questions. It had the square root of 225, which is 15, because 15 times 15 is 225. It had the square root of 16, which is 4, because 4 times 4 is equal to 16. It had the square root of 100, which is equal to 10, because 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, then it said in between which two integers is the square root of 44. So you want to think about your perfect squares. And again, I'm going to send you that list. So it's in between the square root of 36 and the square root of 49. The square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 49 is 7. So it's in between 6 and 7. Now, 36 would be 8 units or 8 away from 44, and it would only be 5 away from 49. So we would say that it's closer to 7. So maybe like 6.7. And you can always check that with your calculator. Okay? One of the other questions was asking for the cube root of 8. So now this little tiny number that goes inside, I call it the hook. Okay? That tells you what root they're looking for. You don't see that number on the 3 above. And if you don't see the number, it's always a 2, which means square root. A 3 means cube root. So it's basically asking what number times itself 3 times would give you 8. And the answer to that is 2. You can also double check all of this on your calculator. All right. If you have any questions, just contact me. You can contact Mrs. Palmer, and you can also contact your tutor, Matt. All right. Take care.